There's something you need to know about prescription painkillers. They're opiates, just like heroin, strong enough to take away any pain, except the kind that comes with losing a child to painkiller addiction.
The brave stories that you're seeing on those public service announcements that are running on WBBZ-TV, produced by the Eric Moore and Associates Group, and funded by Blue Cross Blue Shield and the media coming together. As we talked about, we're going to talk about prevention for painkiller addiction, and joining us on our panel, we have some really important folks. We're going to talk with our studio audience. Matt Smith from Prevention Focus, who's a not-for-profit partner that works with us here at WBBZ-TV to spread their message. Vicki Weidman from Family Supervisor at Horizon Village, and you saw her in the WNED documentary, and Cameron Townsend, who's a health teacher at Williamsville East High School. Matt, let's start with you, because we've talked many times as we've on our journeys together in the media about prevention. And how can you prevent something that, like Avi said, was actually prescribed by a doctor? You're thinking you're doing something right by taking these pills, and it turns on you.
Well, first of all, this opportunity for visibility for the issue is an important, very important first step. There's a lot of messages that people just did not have before that we now need to know, that make sure that people get those messages. These medications are potentially very, very dangerous and need to be addressed and treated with respect and taken care of. We have to create a culture where we don't prescribe probably as much as we have in the past. We have to take steps to get extra medications that are old out of harm's way, where they could be abused and disposed of properly. We have to give people the skills and information they need so they can make better choices.
Wow, and Vicki, you were on the documentary, and you were very profound, I think, and very clear, succinct message. This is something that's not to be taken lightly with anybody that's addicted. You have to take action quickly.
Exactly. I'm so excited about this initiative that's taking place right now. But one of the things I want people to understand and know today, that our youth is not just taking drugs to get high, but they are also taking them to feel normal, to not be sick anymore. It's so important that we do educate people every opportunity that we get.
Cameron, from what you've seen at the high school that you teach at, how pervasive is this? And is it something that you see initially as a teacher, and have you ever seen this and addressed it with students directly?
I think within school districts in general, in the whole of Western New York, do a pretty good job of reducing the risk factors. I can't speak on behalf of statistically speaking in the Western New York area, but I think the great thing about what we're seeing tonight is another way of bringing the community into the classroom to hear, the sad stories, of Adam and Michael, and bringing that into the classroom and really driving home the message to the kids that these drugs are around and they are dangerous.
How involved do you get with the parents if you see an issue?
I think we always try and incorporate the parents within certain topics within health education, and this is just one of those areas where the students themselves can actually teach the parents a lot of information, to go home, talk to their parents about it, get them informed. And I think by watching stories such as these tonight and listening to the commercials on the radio, which I heard coming here, I think only gets the message out more, because we need to educate a lot more parents, and I think this is one of the ways that we're doing that.
So that's an important word, Matt, educate. And you go into the schools, Prevention Focus has programs for all ages.
Yes, we
starting
do.
at kindergarten, I would imagine.
We do, all the way down from elementary, all the way up through college. And the thing about prevention is you start at a very young age and you never stop.
We have a very brave man here in our audience. I want to commend you for stepping up. This is Dan. Dan, you've been struggling with addiction.
Yes.
And you're going to share your story. What is your story, and how can you help others?
It started with surgery. I got elbow surgery on my right arm, and doctors prescribed me lower tabs. And I took 3 of them, not knowing the effects, and I loved it. It made all the pain mentally, physically go away. And then I sold the pills, and I actually got suspended from school. And not knowing the effects of the painkillers and knowing the outcome later on down the road, I started using it again at work. And it became a weekend thing. And then I went to college and then came back and missed that feeling. And I ended up getting back into lower tabs. They were easy to find. At my end of my run, I was popping 50 lower tabs a day. I'm surprised I'm still here. And then I went into recovery and was good for almost about 2 years. And then I started using heroin because heroin was easier to find on the streets than painkillers. So as of right now, I'm back in the program in a halfway house, and I go to daily self-help meetings. And I got a sponsor, and I have a different outlook upon life this time. So,
How old were you when all of this started?
I think I was 16.
How old are you now?
29.
Long journey.
Yeah, it's gonna be until the day I die. If I didn't take myself, which I was close to committing suicide too, but I'm still here to tell my story.
What finally, Dan, made you decide, I have to stop this, I can't continue?
Suicide. I was a coward, so I figured if I don't stop the drugs, either I'm going to overdose or just kill myself, and I just couldn't come to myself doing that, so I figured I'll go to a inpatient rehab and then a halfway house.
I can't thank you enough for sharing your story and how brave you are to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You've helped a lot of people.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing your story. Vicki, when you hear stories like this, people they are not who they were when they first started to take these medicines. They change. You talked about that in the earlier show.
Yes, that is so true, because the drugs are mood-altering drugs, and it changes the personality of the person. One of the things we do is educate people about the addicted self versus the authentic self. And that's why I tell people it's so important to get in this fight, because you're not fighting people, you're fighting addiction. And I think many times when people see their loved one, it makes them step back for a minute. But stay in the fight and keep fighting.
Mary, this is Mary joining us in our studio. Share your personal story. I've not heard it yet.
Actually, for me, drug awareness and shows like this are a long time coming. I was actually born to an opiate addict. My mother, in a car accident, was prescribed opiates for her pain in her back. And it was a lifetime. I actually lost her 4 years ago to her opiate addiction. Her body just shut down. It was tired, exhausted, and couldn't go on anymore. But as Michael's parents said, the doctors prescribed this, and she had several different doctors that prescribed opiates, all, triplicate scripts, and she would go from one pharmacy to the other.
Did the doctors ever see a change in her and realize something is wrong?
No, she was prescribed depression medication also. She had heart issues, she had lupus, she had neuropathy, she had the back issues from the car accident, and it was just a lifetime battle, and it seemed there was never any answers. And from the time I can remember, there was ups and downs constantly. I saw my mother more in the hospital than I saw her at home. I actually left home at 16 because I couldn't bear to walk in anymore and find her on the floor. So I left. The drug awareness, I know we're discussing how it kills. It also takes away life while life is still going on, because I never knew my mother. I only knew her as an addict. And I don't know what's worse.
Well, an amazing story, and I appreciate you sharing that. I know how challenging that must have been, and for being here tonight. And Vicki, I'll go to you because it speaks to what you just said, that these people are not who they say they are.
Family members know that that person is not the same. Their personality is not the same. Sometimes they appear to have flu-like symptoms, so they notice that they do have a sickness that is a continual sickness. Those are the signs we do not want to ignore. We do not want to be in denial. We do want to make a move.
We're going to hear from some more personal stories when our special program here on WBBZ-TV, Stories of Tragedy and Hope, continue right after this.